fat was vilified so much that it's almost when you talk about fat, it's almost not connected to the word healthy. So today we are going to look at that, like, can we have healthy fats? So our topic actually normally is healthy on fat. So let's go through some of the things that we are going to look at today. We will look at facts about fat and which fats are healthy and what kind of fats we should choose to eat. I think those are the three topics that we'll be able to cover in the next 1 hour. So let's look at some of the facts about fat. So when we talk about fat, so when we talk about fat, a lot of times we might think about it kind of negatively, but then when we are thinking about dietary fat, it is good for us to remember that fat is actually good for us. Fat keeps our bodies healthy. Fat helps young bodies to grow, so our children need to eat not a fat-free diet, but the children need to eat a right fat diet. I'm doing two at the same time. So did you know that fat is a nutrient, just like all the other nutrients? So we have carbohydrates, we have vitamins, and we also have proteins, but we also have fat as a nutrient. So our bodies need fat, and therefore we have to remember that. Secondly, fat is part of every body cell. So our body cells are the cell membranes in the bodies. Fat is the structural material for the cell membrane, and therefore fat is, sorry, let's go back with that one. Okay, so I'll just go back to that slide for those who've just walked in. So we were just saying that fat is important for us, and one of the things why we say fat is important is because fat is part of every cell in your body. Fat is the structural material for the cell membrane, and also fat is critical for several important biological functions in the body, and one of those things is growth and development. And therefore, it is very important that we include fat as part of our diet. And then fat also, as you can see there, supplies energy. So fat supplies energy to our bodies. Fat is the most concentrated form of energy in our bodies, so that when we need energy, and especially if we need energy fast, then it is easy for that fat to be broken down. And then, of course, I'm sure we've all learned this in school, that fat is important in the absorption of certain vitamins. And the vitamins A, D, E, and K. I like to call it a deck. It sounds more like, for those who are from Kenya, again, sounds like a Luo word when you say a deck. So it makes it easy for me to remember. So fat helps you to absorb those 4 vitamins. And then, believe it or not, fat is good for our skin and our hair. So if you're going to have good skin and good hair, then it's important that fat is part of our diet. And then, sorry, I'm operating 2 at the same time. Brother Magesa, maybe I better use this one. That way, I can have another hand to do my computer, sorry. Is it possible to switch? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that will be easier. Okay, and then, so fat, let me move that. Okay, so we just said fat is good for your skin. If you're going to have good skin, good hair, then you need fat. It's important for fat to be part of your diet. And then fat also helps you to feel full. So now this is a very debatable point, because for us, where we live now, we really don't have a problem with remaining full. I think what we are trying to do is to get the food to go through our systems, because we already eat a lot and we already eat a lot of fat, right? So, but then if you're helping, like you're dealing with a place where there is shortage of food or, such, then fat also helps you to feel full longer. But on the other hand, though, again, if you're eating a completely fat-free diet, then there is also that possibility that you could be feeling hungrier a whole lot. So it is important. It's not important for us, really, because we eat a lot of food and a lot of fat all the time. But anyway, that's just a fact that fat helps you feel full longer. Then, of course, this is something we all know. Fat adds flavor to food, right? If you don't know how much fat adds flavor to food, try to eat skooma without fat, right? You'll find that fat is really, it helps the food to taste better. But I mean, some people have eaten food without fat so much so that their taste buds have adjusted, and it could also be like, so it depends on your taste buds. But for a lot of us, fat helps the food to taste better. I have 2 people in my family who don't like their beans added anything. They just like their beans boiled and eat like that. But for me, it's like put a little bit something on those beans. I cannot eat it like that. So yes, fat adds flavor. And then finally, fat makes up to 60% of brain tissue. And so you can see how important fat is then for our brains, right? But this is particularly important for growing children. So I'm saying this to say, as we raise our children, let's, I know we've heard so much about fat-free diet, but as we raise our children, let us remember that as their brains are growing, they need that fat to help to be part of the brain. And then, but the question then that we want to ask ourselves is, are all fats the same? And what do you all think? Let's have a little bit of a discussion with that. Do you think all fats are the same? No, I see everybody shaking their head, right? So not all fats are the same. Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, I really like a discussion. Thank you.
No, I am thinking that you probably, the way we are using the word fat may be confusing, because if we use the word lipids, because lipids are divided into 2, oils and fats.
Okay.
And so then I have a problem, because a lot of the things like plasma membrane is lipids, not fats, on the plasma membrane. But it's the same, it's just the structure of the molecule and whether it is saturated or not saturated. Typically, fats are the saturated molecules.
Okay.
Then lipids tend to be more unsaturated. So, but so.
Thank you, Dr. Mbungu. We are going to get a little technical here because we have people from the biology department. So that's good, because normally, we use the word fats because most people understand it to be, the oils and the fats that we eat. But now you see the technicality of it, because when you talk about fat, you're talking about the saturated fat. But then, so if we use the word lipids, though, I don't know that people understand, but you get what...
As long as you know what you're talking about.
Thank you. So you understand, when I'm talking about fat, I'm mentioning about both oils, and we are just going to go into this now, where we'll separate them in a minute, okay? But thank you, Dr. Mbungu. But you get it, right? So we have the fat, the saturated and the unsaturated. And that's where we are heading, actually. So that's good that you brought it up. Yeah, thank you. Okay. So the question then that we want to ask is, which types of fat or lipids are good and which ones are not? So, so there are 3 types of fat. I mean, I hope you all understand. We use the words fat so that, for the general population to understand, right? So there are 3 types of lipids or fat. We have saturated fat, we have unsaturated fat, and then we have hydrogenated oil. So out of these 3, we are going to see which ones are good for us. So let's try to understand. Maybe I should have Dr. Mbungu actually explain this for me. But I will, let's try to understand the difference between saturated fat and unsaturated fat. Now, so what you see up there, let me move this, I can see mine. So both saturated and unsaturated fats are found in natural foods. By natural, I mean either as grown or as raised, because saturated fat and unsaturated fat can come from animals, and they can also come from plants. So both of those 2 fats are found naturally in real food that either grow on land or they can be found in animals. So some types of unsaturated fats are especially good for us, and these ones can be found in foods such as nuts and seeds, including, like, you have fats in pumpkin, in sesame seeds, in nut butters, walnuts, almonds, avocado, olive oil. So these are the healthy fats that are unsaturated. So but both saturated and unsaturated fats will have health benefits. And we are going to look at, so, okay, let me first explain the saturation part of it as you see in the diagram, because sometimes you are wondering what is saturated and what is not saturated. So when you talk about a saturated fat, it means it does not have, I don't know if you're able to see that. Yeah, so you can see this lower one here. You see where you have the 2 C's that don't have H's, right? And so you can see the double bond. Yeah, so when we are talking, I'm just trying to explain this the simplest I can. So when we are talking about unsaturated, when we are talking about saturated fat, let's make it simple like this. When we are talking about saturated fat, it is full with hydrogens, right? It has all those hydrogens, and you don't have any double bond. But when you're talking about unsaturated fat, it means some of the hydrogens are missing, and therefore you have some double bonds. I don't know if that makes sense. So when something is saturated, it means it's full, right? You've saturated it with something. So saturated fat is full of those hydrogens. Unsaturated fat is missing some of the hydrogens. And so, now, I know that's a little complex, but let me just, I'm saying it to pass, to try and make a point here. So when you look at this unsaturated fat with a double bond, what happens with it is missing. I know most of the people here have done this in school in chemistry, and you understand it very well, but allow me to just go slow. So it means it's almost like somebody that is limping and is missing something. When somebody is limping and you don't have a stick every time you can find something to hold on to, you hold on to that thing. Does that make sense? And therefore, unsaturated fat will easily react with other things around it, and therefore it is less stable. I don't know if that makes sense. But saturated fat is very stable because it is full with the hydrogens, and therefore it is so stable that when we come to talk about hydrogenation of oils later, they're adding that hydrogen so as to make it stable so that it can last longer on the shelves. I hope that kind of explains what saturated and unsaturated fat is. Dr. Mbungu, would you like to explain it a little more?
I just want to mention here,
yeah.
when you look at the saturated fat, they are very straight. So you can pack very many of them in a small space. And saturated fat, because of the kink, the way they are kinked, if you only have a small space, you can't pack them very well. Therefore, the saturated fats line very well on the blood vessels. They are the ones which come and line the inside of blood vessels, which bring us problems of arterial diseases. And saturated fats tend to be liquids, oils, and they do not stick very well because, as you are saying, they are not very structured. The symmetry is different. So you do not find them much on blood vessels. So when it comes to dealing with heart disease, what you want to avoid is anything that is saturated, because they will pack very well and they will line up the inside of your blood vessel, reducing the diameter, causing the serious problems of cardiovascular diseases.
Okay, thank you so much. And Dr. Mbungu just explained the next slide that I had very clearly, so I really appreciate it. So thank you so much. So that is what saturated and unsaturated fats are. Now, so we also have monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, and we're just not going to go into those details. But then, oh, sorry, I'm moving my computer, not this one. Yeah, so we have monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fat, and we are not going to go into the details for that. What I'm simply going to say about monounsaturated, and it just means they have, monounsaturated has one of those, we don't have it here, one of the double bonds, and polyunsaturated has several of the double bonds. And therefore, the monounsaturated fats will be a little more stable than the polyunsaturated fats. The polyunsaturated fats are the most unstable, and they go bad very easily. They become rancid very, very easily. And now, so the stability of these fats brings us to a very important thing that is important when we are cooking. I can see people are like, no, this is too much science, but now let's come to cooking. So some of these fats, the fats that are stable, tend, when you're using them for cooking, the monounsaturated fats will not break down easily. Now, one thing about oils that maybe I should explain clearly is that oils don't, when we are talking about a monounsaturated fat, it's not all, oils have just different percentages of the saturations. Some of them will have more mono, will have more, like you would say a fat is 20% monounsaturated, or it is 50% monounsaturated. So when we are saying a fat is monounsaturated, we are just, sorry, what am I doing with that? When we are saying a fat is monounsaturated or polyunsaturated, we are just talking about like most of that fat is made up of a certain kind of fat. I don't know if I'm making sense. I feel like I'm not making a lot of sense. Yeah, so, but anyway, the important thing here is that, so the stability of a fat makes it to where when you cook with certain fats, they break down more easily. And so when you cook like with a fat like coconut oil, because it is saturated, it means that oil does not break down easily. But a fat like olive oil, even though it is mainly monounsaturated, but it has a lot of, so olive oil breaks down more easily. And therefore, you want to use your olive oil for just dressing. But then if you're gonna cook food with heat, then you want to use fats that are more stable, like coconut oil. And you will find that these fats also have high smoking points. So a fat like coconut oil has a very high smoking point, and a fat like avocado oil has a very high smoking point. But olive oil has very low smoking point and smoking point means it's the point at which the oil begins to break down. And you can actually see when you try to use, I don't know if has any of you tried to use avocado oil for making chapati? Let's have a little talk about that. Anybody tried making chapati using olive oil? Tell me your experience. It smokes very quickly, right? Yeah, and you'll find like, it actually burns the chapati. So that's why when we cook, we want to use the oils that are more stable. But now let's talk about this. So then, should I cook my food using animal fats? Because they are probably gonna be more stable? No, yes. Should we use the animal fats then because they are going to be more stable?
No.
Why not? What is wrong with the animal fats? Yes, Pastor. Pastor said, let's use what is available. That's a good point. Yes, let's hear from my sister. You're saying something. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying, you're the one making it available. Whatever you go buy, that's what it's going to be.
That's good, actually. Whatever you bring to your house, that is going to be what is available, right? Yeah, but I think Dr. Mbungu explained that kind of to us by explaining the animal saturated fats are going to be unhealthy for us. Now, Dr. Mbungu, I'm going to ask you this question. So why is it healthier to eat the plant saturated fats like coconut oil compared to animal?
Actually, I haven't investigated a lot of plant saturated fats, but animal fats are the ones that tend to have the biggest problem with the body. I need to check with how does the body deal with when you are using plant saturated fat. The problem with this animal fat is especially on the cardiovascular system, where they line up the inside of the blood vessels, making the hole smaller. And that means when blood has to push through there, the heart has to beat to create more pressure to push blood through there. And that's where the risk of having cardiovascular diseases and high blood pressure, all those things come in. Now, how the body deals with plant food, I need to check the saturated plant food.
Okay.
And that's the same problem with the hydrogenated oil. Because you take oils, which are polyunsaturated, and you add more hydrogen in the factory. So you end up putting more hydrogen. That's a very artificial way of doing it. And so they are not healthy. They become even less healthy when you hydrogenate them. Okay. And so really, if you can, using polyunsaturated fat would probably be the healthiest. Things like linoleic acid, omega-3, and linolenic acid, omega-6, all those are very healthy fat. And they are like that you're talking about here, several double bonds. And so they do not pack very well, so they cannot stick in blood vessels. They will not create problems for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Mbungu. So I actually ask Dr. Mbungu an honest question that I also didn't know, trying to figure out why the saturated fats in plants are going to be healthier. But I think a partial explanation that we can have is that, so like I said, the amount of the fats varies. So I wonder if the plant fat has less, the plant saturated fats has less of the saturated fats in percentage compared to the animal. Probably the animals have a very high percentage. So, but anyway, now that Dr. Mbungu just talked about the next, we'll come back to that. I just want us to talk about hydrogenation for a moment because it has already been mentioned. Oh,
there is a hand over here.
I didn't see a hand. Okay, go ahead. Who is there?
Oh, I just wanted to add on the point of the animal fat, just to remind us that we don't just get the saturated fat. It comes also with a lot of cholesterol. And that's what's one of the things that make it unhealthy. We know that we don't find cholesterol in plant, so it's found. So when you're getting the other fats, remember that cholesterol is also part of the animal fat.
Yes, thank you. And thank you so much for bringing that up. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you short.
No,
you
I'm
had
good.
Something?
I just wanted to point out that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Guchu. That's a very important point, actually. So let's talk about the hydrogenation. And for us to understand that hydrogenation, so what is hydrogenation of oil? So hydrogenation of oil is where, so I'm going to go back a couple slides to that same diagram that we had. So hydrogenation of oil then, to just make it easy using that diagram, is where they take this good oil and they add, for example, the 2 hydrogens that are missing. And now it is this was an oil that was naturally poly or mono unsaturated. It was an oil that was unsaturated. And now we are going to use certain methods, which actually it includes a lot of heat and adding some chemicals to be able, you can imagine an oil doesn't just break down, right? So they have to heat these oils in very high temperatures, and then they also have to add certain chemicals in order to create that reaction where those 2 hydrogens, for example, they can be adding more. But I'm just using this as an example. So where the hydrogens will be added. And now you have an oil that has been hydrogenated, but it is now going to be a saturated oil, but it's not naturally saturated. It is hydrogenated.
Now it is solid. Semi-solid. That's how they make margarines.
Yes, and and thank you. That's where we are heading. Thank you, Dr. Mbungu. Yes, so that is how they do the hydrogenation. I hope you all understand. And so one thing about hydrogenation, I'm going to go back for you to understand again. So one thing about hydrogenation is before they used to have partially hydrogenated oils. And partially hydrogenated oils means they only filled some of the hydrogens. They didn't fill all of them. And when that is done, what happened was that it was creating a lot of what we call trans fats. And later, they did research like we did during our health nugget, and they figured out that trans fats were really unhealthy for you, right? So FDA outlawed, they didn't allow companies to have trans fats anymore, but we still have hydrogenated oils that are fully hydrogenated. So the problem is this. When they hydrogenate the oil, depending on how the process is, there's a very high possibility that you will still have some of the hydrogenation not fully done. Remember, these are things that are done by humans, right? So mistakes can happen, and a lot of some research actually was done where somebody went and tested the oils that were in the store that was supposed to be hydrogenated, fully hydrogenated oils. But you know what they found out? A lot of them were still partially hydrogenated. So to keep ourselves healthy, we want to completely avoid those. If any oil, you read it and it says it's hydrogenated, then just avoid it. So that was one of the things that I just wanted us to share. And then let's talk about omega-3 and omega-6s. So we hear a lot about omega-3s and omega-6s. So the important point that I want to pass here, which of those do you think we should be taking? Omega-6? Because it has the higher number. Which one? Which one do we hear a whole lot about? Omega-3, right? So omega-3 is pushed a lot, but that is not to say omega-6 is not important. So let's get there. The important thing here with omega-3s and omega-6s, both of them are important and they balance each other. The only issue is that most of our oils now have a lot of omega-6s already. So that's why omega-3s are pushed. But the idea is for us to have a balance of the two and to have a good ratio. The ratio that we should have is so the important thing about omega-3s and omega-6s are the ratio. I want you to remember that. It is the ratio that is important. We need our bodies need both of them equally. But you need to eat them at the ratio of 2 to 1. So the problem, though, that we have is that we have so much omega-6s out there that naturally the American diet has a ratio of 6 to 1. So we need to we need to eat more of our omega-3 oils. Yes, Dr. Bunga.
So I have a colleague who actually, her whole research project is on working on omega-3 and looking at their potential for treating bipolar disorders. Because omega-3s are actually, they are being thought that they really help in mental health, in stabilizing mental health. One of the places you can get omega-3 is eating things like flaxseed and pumpkin seeds. These are very rich. They are highly rich. I saw a commercial one time. They were promoting chicken eggs, and they were saying that those chicken were fed with the flaxseed. And so if you eat them, you'll get omega-3. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. If the chicken has to eat flaxseed to get omega-3, why can't you yourself eat flaxseed to get it directly? So.
Thank you so much. That's very interesting, yes. So let's eat those things. Flaxseed, walnuts too are very high in omega-3. Soybeans, so very low, low, but it has omega-3. So eat your tofu if you can, if that's something you like. So let's eat those, but it is, the main sources is walnuts and flaxseed. So let's.
They will tell you that the richest source of omega-3 is cold fish oils.
Yes.
But the problem is a lot of fish are contaminated with mercury. You cannot get one without the other. You can get the omega-3, but you get with the mercury too, because of the way waters are contaminated. Best thing is just go ahead and eat your walnuts, your flaxseed, and then pumpkin seeds too. Beautiful, get uncontaminated omega-3.
Thank you.
Cod. Fish that are caught in cold water are supposed to be richer in omega-3 than fish caught in warm waters. So tropical fish, you like eating tilapia. Tilapia is not very good. It's a tropical fish. Doesn't have omega-3. No. If you get fish like a salmon, which mostly caught in Alaska and polar areas, they are the ones which are supposed to be high. even here in Michigan, they have salmon. You can catch them here. The problem is the waters here are also contaminated with industrial chemicals and mercury. So you get omega-3, but you get it with the chemicals.
Yes, Esther. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mbungu. Yes, so of course, and if we do eat fish, it's salmon that is very high in omega-3, but again, like we've always done, we promote the vegetarian diet because it's been proved that it is healthy. So, yes.
Here I'm reading, they say flaxseed, but we need to realize to get that effect from flaxseed, you have to grind, but do not grind ahead
of time.
You grind when you're ready to eat, because if you grind and keep it, then it's not healthy. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And again, because it is a polyunsaturated fat. So I hope you're beginning to put these things together. So because it's polyunsaturated, if you grind it ahead of time, now it is going to break down faster. So you want to grind it. So let's talk about this before I come to you, Baba Ellen. Okay, we'll come to that question too. But now, question that I would like to ask though before we leave this flaxseed, can a few people share with us how they eat their flaxseed? Just let's give each other ideas. Esther, how do you make your flax?
So for me, I put it in my milk in the morning. Mm-hmm. I put in my oatmeal. Or I can put in my fruit salad. Yeah.
So do you grind it before you put it in all that?
Grind it before, and then I put it in my fruit salad and eat it right away. Or in my milk when I'm ready, mix it in the milk, drink, or when my oatmeal is ready to
in
eat.
Milk too, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, like when I'm in a hurry and I didn't have time to eat, but I still want my flaxseed, I just warm my milk and put the grinded flaxseed, mix it and swallow it.
And you drink it.
But
nice.
you don't want to grind flaxseed, put it in your food, and then go to take a shower.
What?
Because, okay, you know people sometimes they prepare their food, and then they just put the food and then go take a shower, so they come and eat.
Okay.
Flaxseed will solidify. It will actually harden, become a thing. It doesn't taste as well.
Doesn't taste
and it creates a different texture problem. So you want to put it and eat right away when you are ready.
I'm really happy you brought that up because I didn't even realize that, but that can be very discouraging to somebody, right? You put your flaxseed and you go do something and come back and it's gooey. It actually becomes very gooey. So yes. Okay, somebody else, thank you. Thank you for sharing, Esther. Let's share how we eat our flaxseed so that we can help each other. Okay, yes.
So you said you can get pumpkin seed and
Walnuts.
things that look like brains, yeah.
Walnuts, flaxseed.
So my question is it okay to grind the pumpkin seed and the walnuts ahead of time, or does it lose the value?
I'll let Dr. Mbungu answer this.
No, I think you said it already. And this oil, because the oils there are polyunsaturated, when they are exposed, they have been ground and stay for a long time. You go to Walmart, you can buy flaxseed,
Ground
which has
flaxseed.
been ground. Mm-hmm. I don't even try that because this is something that has been out there. You don't know how much of it has already become rancid. So the best thing is buy the grain, the flaxseed grains. Then you buy the small coffee grinder. Keep in your kitchen. If you want, take a spoon of flaxseed, grind it right away, put it in your milk if that's what you want. That's my wife does every morning. And then you just drink. It doesn't even change the taste. And it's very nice. Mm-hmm. You know your body has gotten it pure, and it's going to go there and do your work. When you put it in like oatmeal, and that's what it used to discourage me. Because when I put it in oatmeal, I like oatmeal. And then I just go do something, or I eat slowly. Then it is beginning to solidify, and it changes not just the texture, even the flavor of the food.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, Esther, you can say it loudly.
No, she's saying I like using chia seeds.
Oh,
yeah.
So
I tend to use chia seeds because chia seeds tend to work very well.
But it's also rich in omega-3. Yeah, so chia seed too. Yes, my brother. And then I haven't forgotten you, Brother Guchu.
My question was about walnuts and pumpkin seed. Do
So the question was, do we need to eat it fast too? Sorry, go ahead, sorry.
So in other words, can I grind my pumpkin seeds and leave them there for a while and come back and eat my pumpkin seed? Will I still get the benefit?
No, yeah, pumpkin seeds don't change the taste.
It
And
doesn't
they
change.
don't make food mushy. They don't change the texture of the food.
No, but the issue is, are you losing the omega-3
I don't
doing it
that fast. I don't think you break it that fast. I don't think it's broken that fast because I think it will still be useful. If you grind and you will do something else and you come and eat, it's not going to change the nutritional value.
Okay.
For some reason, I was talking about grinding because you go to Walmart and you buy it already ground. You don't know when they ground it, so you don't know how long it has stayed, so you don't know how much value it has.
Okay.
But so that's what I'm saying. The best thing is to grind for pumpkin seeds. Chia seeds don't change anything either. They don't change the texture of food. They don't change it, just like walnut. You can grind and mix and do your things. The food will still be good.
But the time, though, so we want as much as, but thank you, Dr. Mbungu, and we want as much as we can. If for your food with the omega-3, the faster you can use it, the better it is for you before the oil goes rancid. So, but Dr. Mbungu is talking about this quick, like you're doing it right now. But in the long, like don't buy ground walnuts.
And that is true, not just about omega-3 and other things. It's a lot of plant food. Mm-hmm. When I was in my early days of anemia, when I was in Kenya and I didn't have medication because the medication was costing more than my salary, I began keeping and growing wheatgrass and extracting wheat juice. I found out if I do wheatgrass and I keep the wheat juice for a few days, it doesn't help me as much. So I began making wheatgrass instantly and drinking it. And so I started pushing up my hemoglobin right away when I was in Kenya until I came here. I was living on wheatgrass, and it was doing the same thing as medication for anemia does. So, but you have to get it right away because a lot of plant food, once they come out of the seeds, once they have been processed, they begin getting damaged because they are very, very valuable. So you take it in the body right away. Let it do its things right away.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's really very important with a lot of foods, is to eat the food when it is still fresh. I remember we did, in one of our courses, we did an experiment on how much destruction different kinds of foods go through by being exposed to different elements, by being exposed to air, to sunshine, and all that. And it was amazing to me how much damage food goes through just by being exposed to air and sunshine. So, yes. Okay, I'll come to you, Elder. Let me go to this side. So, somebody had a question. Oh, Brother Guchu, then we'll answer your question on supplements.
Before you ask a question, I wanted to add something on the sources of omega-3. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to introduce a plant that I've introduced to some of you. You know it. I'm an advocate of that plant. Okay. The only person I know who has adapted very well to that plant is Elder Sibada. He's not here. He's adapted so well that where I used to go and harvest it at Andrew's garden, I no longer see it. I think he harvests everything. The plant is called Patulaka oleracea. The simple name is what you call parsley or hogweed. Now, I don't know whether when you get time, you can put it there, parsley, and you put it them on the picture there, the image there, they can see.
Okay, Brother Magasa, if you can do that for us.
It's a very common, it's a weed.
Is that
you
the
find
one
it
that
everywhere. Even you go behind your house, you'll see it. It's it's the richest in omega-3 in the plant kingdom.
Interesting.
In the plant kingdom. It grows freely everywhere. It's the richest in the plant kingdom.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and it's a vegetable. It's very common in some countries. They eat it as a salad. I use it. I usually cook sima with it. I just make it like vegetable, make sima, and it's free. It grows a lot in Andros. It's a weed. Pasaline is P-U. Pasaline. P-U-S-A-L-A-N. It grows everywhere. It's very common in Africa. P-U-R-S-A-L-A-N-E.
Okay, could you please talk to them, Brother Guchu, so they can put it on the screen for us if they can?
Put a picture of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
a picture.
You will see, you know it if
We
you
would
see
really
it.
appreciate the picture.
And
yeah,
you should never
it's
go
really good
hungry.
to
It
know
grows
these
even
things.
behind your house. Very nice vegetable.
Interesting. I've never heard about it. So, you know what is very interesting? You know these other weed lamb's quarters? You know lamb's quarters. What is it called? Okay, it's another one. But anyway, it's all over too. And I'm told it's nutritionally very rich. So I think that the things that are rich, God gave them to us in abundance. we just don't use them. I will show you, Dr. Mbungu, when I get a chance. So anyway, so that answers that. But we want to go back and finish. But let's answer about supplements. So, and I hope I can get help with this. So could somebody help me with the supplementation of omega-3? Should we use supplements instead of food? Was that your question? Should we, comparing the two? Dr. Mbungu, I'm looking at you. And Dr. Anjejo, can you help us with these two? Supplementation
View
of
is,
omega-3.
my view, if you can, my view is you buy the seeds, and instead of using supplements, tablets, you just get the whole thing. Because here is the problem with supplements are good, and I use them. But here is the problem. Doctors the people who make drugs can only make what they know. They cannot add what they don't know. When you eat the omega-3, not only the flaxseed, not only are you getting omega-3, you are getting other compounds. Plants are very funny. They not only have the nutrient, but they have something that helps the body use that nutrient. Because you can use a nutrient, but you don't have the vehicle to take it with it into a cells. But when you are taking the omega-3, you are taking not just omega-3 flaxseed. You are taking omega-3 and whatever else helps it to be taken up by the body.
Okay, so
That is the pasaline.
okay, everybody's brain is on there. So you all know that plant, don't you? I didn't know it was so rich.
Yeah, it's very rich.
Wow, interesting. I know I've been told it's really rich, but I didn't know that it was so rich in omega-3. So that plant actually grows everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can throw it in your salad. It actually makes the salad taste very good because it has a little bit of a sour taste. Yeah, so it makes the salad really good. Yeah. So you can throw it in your salad. How else did you say you cook it, Baba Ellen? How else did you say you make it?
Which part do you eat?
I normally eat the leaves and a little bit of the young
Oh, you know
stems.
it? You eat that one?
Yeah, I throw it in my salad.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Yes, it's really good.
So you can eat anything. You can eat the leaves, you can eat the stem. Mm-hmm. So if you like the salad, mainly eat the leaves. But when you cook it, the stem are very soft. They eat sima very well or whatever you want to eat with.
I'm going to try cooking it. I've never cooked it. That's very interesting.
I've always cooked it.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay. So I normally throw it in my salad. Like I said, it gives the salad a little bit of a sour taste, and it's really good. Yeah.
But let me also say this. Uncle Simon eats things that are interesting because, like you see the ugali, Uncle Simon has completely changed the formula of ugali. Uncle Simon uses pasaline to eat the ugali, but the ugali has pumpkin seeds and chia seeds and everything.
Good,
So,
Simon. I hope we are all learning something from this, though, because let me piggyback on that. So we are blessed with, as a people, to eat zima, ugali, fufu, whatever we call it, right? Because the thing with this African food, because I think almost every African community has some form of ugali. But the thing with this African food is you can throw anything in there. You can add anything to your ugali flour. You can add some seeds. You can add, be creative and come up with your own ways of doing your ugali to make it very healthy.
that's
Yeah.
what we are recommending people to modify ugali.
Yes.
Don't eat it your grandparents.
Exactly. Yes. Make ugali rich. Yes. Yeah, you can add anything to ugali really. Okay. Let's cover a few. Oh, sorry. Was there another picture I missed? Were you showing another one, Brother Magesa? I think there's one I didn't see. Oh, those are the nutrition facts. Okay, I can. Okay, we will, because of time, we will let you go home and do more research on Brother Guchu's vegetable. All right, so let's discuss one more little thing here, and then we will stop. Oh, one other way of doing your omega-3 is smoothies. That's my way of doing it, is throwing it into a smoothie. When I make a smoothie, I just add either chia seeds. I've just made it to where my smoothies, I always make sure when I make a smoothie, there's a seed. So that could be chia. I always add a nut, a certain kind of a nut, and I always add a seed. Now, but the other thing that we have to be very careful when we are dealing with food, I feel like I'm sidetracking a whole lot here, is that sometimes we have to be, Ellen White says, don't mix food too much. Because sometimes when you mix food, you figure out that one food is affecting another one. So also minimize the mixing. So like if you don't do all your seeds in one smoothie, or all, just do one seed and then another meal you do another one. The other thing that she says that's very important is to alter the foods. Don't eat for breakfast what you ate for lunch, so you keep altering, so you have the nutrition. That was just a by the way, that's not part of what we are doing today. All right. Okay, we talked about hydrogenated oil. We talked about what hydrogenation is. We will skip that because of time. I wanted us to talk about healthy eating on the go, because now we talked about oils. Our biggest problem with oils is normally not at home. Hopefully we are all trying to bring healthy oils to the house, right? And by the way, I don't know if I've made this clear. So let's focus more on those plant-based oils that are healthy. And a very important thing about oils that I didn't talk about is the processing. So really, I want, when you go home, Google how oil is processed and learn for yourself how it is processed. Once you've seen how much heat it goes through when it is being processed, and you know how much heat destroys oil, right? So once you've really seen how many, they add chemicals, they add so many things to process an oil, then you will see the importance of using unprocessed oils. So that when you go to Walmart, those unprocessed oils are very expensive sometimes, but trust me, it's worth your money. Because compare that with how much you have to pay when you go and see a physician, right? Yeah, I remember one time, this was very ridiculous, but my daughter had a broken bone. Granted, this was not oil, but then we got a bill for $40,000. And I was like, a broken bone? It was very interesting because my dad had broken his bone and he was treated in Kenya for like less than a tenth for very little. And they both had broken bones. So I'm saying that to say healthcare is very expensive here, right? So if you think about when you're buying your food and compare it and say, I am paying this for my health. How much would I pay if I went to a physician, right? Then you will see the value of really spending money on those oils. The other thing that I want to say about oils before we move on to this concluding topic is mix your oils. So just like all the other foods, oils bring you different values, right? So have your olive oil for putting on top of your food, have your coconut oil for cooking, and avocado oil. Avocado oil has a really high smoking point. You want to use your avocado oil for cooking. Now, granted, when you go to that supermarket, that avocado oil is going to be way up there price-wise. Brothers and sisters, spend those few extra dollars on that avocado oil. If you're going to make, because the foods that you have to heat, especially like chapatis, if you're going to make chapatis, then make it with your avocado oil. I mean, you can also use coconut oil. Coconut oil is good, but I have found avocado oil makes really good chapatis. So I just encourage all of us with that, the financial part. Let us spend money on good and refined oils. Just buy that oil and refined. It will be a blessing for you in the final run. Okay, healthy on the go, because we live in a place where we run all the time. And therefore, how can we stay healthy while we are on the go? Sometimes you're at work and you didn't have time to pack breakfast, or you're on the road with the kids and you're wondering what to get. What are some of the hints? So let's go through those real quick. Now, our biggest problem with oils are fast foods. Why? Because when we buy those fast foods, we can discuss. No, we don't have time. We're running out of time. But we all know that those fast foods, a lot of times that oil. Anyone here ever worked in a fast food? Raise your hand if you've worked. Yeah, That was my first job too. And do you remember how much they heat the oils, right? It's the same oil, and then in the evening you take that sieve, you remove all the crumbs, thank you, and then you throw away the crumbs, and the following morning you come back, and it is the same oil being used for deep frying. So we really want to keep ourselves healthy by minimizing. I know we can't stay away sometimes completely, but we can minimize the amount of these foods that we eat. So fast foods are not good for us because they have too many calories. They offer too much food to us. They contain unhealthy fats, which I've just explained, too much salt, and they have low amounts of fiber. And the other nutrients are not very minimal. So many fast food restaurants offer value sizes and combo meals, right? You go there and you're being given a combo meal. Combo means, I know you people are very healthy. You don't know what combo is. Let me explain. So combo is when they put several of them together. So value combo meals often include larger portions, which can result in overeating. So let me show you an example real quick. So there, you can see the differences, right? You see the combo meal, the difference is only $1. And it's very tricky in our brain. Because I tell you, even me, when I am out there and I'm trying to think, and it's like you're with the kids, right? And it's like that combo meal, and it's only a difference of $1. Let's just do it today, right? So, but look what we are getting. Yeah, for an extra $1, you're getting about 800 calories extra. And that's just talking about calories. We haven't talked about anything else. Did you see the calories? Yeah, for just an extra $1, you get a lot. So for an extra $1, you get so many calories, sorry. So we want to do, so let's go through the hints real quick. I see Pastor is beginning to look at me. So, no. Did I miss something? Okay, so anyway, so one of the things that you want to do, I don't know why it skipped that, is get the facts. Always you can ask the people at the restaurant, They are required if you ask about the nutritional facts of the foods you're buying, especially if you're buying from the same place all the time. They are required to give you what the food has. Secondly, is avoid value sizing. We just talked about that. 3, trying to rush and I'm rushing backwards. Skip the fries if you can. Again, this is fried in that bad oil all the time, right? So when you buy fast foods, skip the fries. I know we love our fries, I'm sorry. And then try grilled chicken. And now I had put for our vegetarian, because this is a vegetarian congregation. I know you're all vegetarians, so forgive me for bringing chicken. But, try vegetarian options or chicken. Normally, if you do use meat, the chicken is better than the regular burger. And then next one is order water instead of soda. I don't know why it has stopped. Okay. Order water instead of soda. And finally, choose healthier options. There are healthier options out there, right? You can buy a fruit cup. You can buy so many healthier options. You can buy salads out there. You really don't have to buy a burger, right? Or you don't have to buy fries. So always choose healthier options. And it will help you eat less of the bad oils. So I think I still have 2 minutes. Maybe I can talk a little more. We can pray using those 2 minutes.
There is somebody who asked a question online. What about peanut oil?
Good question. So peanut oil. Let me do a little more research on that, and we'll do it. Let me not answer something that I'm not very sure of. Yeah, let me do more research on that. Unless somebody would like to help me. Huh? So I can talk about corn oil briefly. So corn oil actually is a processed oil, and it is very highly processed. So corn oil is one of those oils that are not good for us because of how much processing it has gone through. They say actually one of the easiest ways to determine a good oil is figure out if it is easy for you to get that oil out of the food, right? Like how easy is it for you to squeeze that oil out of the food? If you can easily squeeze the oil out of the food, then it went through less processing for it to be pure oil. Does that make sense to everybody? So you can think about corn and how much processing it has to go through for it to produce the corn oil. Yeah, that's in. Say that again, my brother. Mm-hmm.
Everything, but they introduce all this kind of oil that have too many things, like corn oil and everything. But palm oil, you can even squeeze it, it drops oil.
Yes.
And it's very tasty. You can eat it raw. You don't need anything.
So the only thing that we have to be careful, you're very right, palm oil is good, but the only thing that we have to be careful with palm oil is now they hydrogenate palm oil a lot. So we want to buy palm oil that is not hydrogenated. So check that to make sure that it's not hydrogenated. Yeah. Now, peanut oil, that one I have to find out more. Now, let me give a few of the regular oils that we use too. So, corn oil, canola oil, vegetable oil is normally a mix of what you don't even know sometimes. So most of these, vegetable oil, canola oil, and corn oil, they are common, they are cheap, but they are really not healthy for us. So you want to stay away from those oils. What about sunflower? Sunflower oil is good if it's not been highly processed. Yeah, yes.
I don't know How many people have been watching the Hope channel, the Hope for Africa, which is running from Nairobi these last 2 weeks? But there has been a doctor this week who has been talking about health from UK, from Nigeria, and he talked on Thursday, which was the last day he talked. He was giving a study because he reverses diabetes. He's a specialist in reversing diabetes. So he gave an example which I think is very relevant to what we have been covering here. He talked about an experiment in which they gave rats sugar and allowed rats to eat as much as they wanted. Rats ate sugar, they got satisfied. They did not touch it again. Then they took the same rats later, they gave them oils, fat, and they let them eat. And the rats ate, they gave up. They didn't want it anymore, they left. Then they combined sugar and fat, and then gave the rats. The rats ate until they almost died. They became so obese, they could not stop themselves. When you combine sugar and oil, now you have a toxic mix. And that's what we need to be. As you are talking, we just dealt with the sugars. Now you have dealt with the oils. Either of those is not that healthy by itself. But when you combine the two, now you have a toxic mix. And that is what the biggest contributor of obesity is.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Mbungo. And then one more thing about oils that I want to make sure we get this clearly before I sit, because it might be a misconception, is now that we've talked about oils and how healthy they are, we are not saying go eat oils. Oils are still supposed to be used minimally. Actually, if we can get our oils from nuts and from seeds, if we can, get it, that would be the best, right? But still, whatever oils we use, I just want to make sure that we understand that we still want to eat the oils minimally. And for saturated fats, there's a lot of debate about it right now. So for as much as we can, let's avoid saturated fats or use them at the least. Yeah, we just want to minimize saturated fats now. Yeah. So I hope it's been a blessing, and may God bless all of you so much.
Thank you, Sister Perez. I believe it was informative, and thank you for those of you who are online and who are asking questions. I believe that was a good presentation. Because the truth is that the Bible makes it very clear, my people are perishing because of what? Lack of knowledge. What knowledge? Which knowledge? Every type of knowledge, including reading. Now, let me ask you. The lack of knowledge, is it biblical knowledge? Is the Bible talking about biblical knowledge?
It talks about knowledge. Knowledge is a broad thing, even including biblical knowledge, including dietary knowledge, including lifestyle, on how we ought to live our lives, in relationships. Knowledge, when we lack knowledge, we face dangers.
Are people of God dying because of lifestyle diseases?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. What do they say differentiates Adventists in California from other people? Is there knowledge of prophecy? And get me correctly. There is this study that was done around Loma Linda, right?
The blue zones.
Yeah?
The blue zones.
The blue zones. Is it because of the high knowledge of eschatological stuff?
No, that was not the key.
That was not the key. What was the key?
Lifestyle.
Lifestyle. We were talking with my brother there and Magesa during lunch about some things that are happening in the Adventist community somewhere in this country, where people have gone even to the extent they are trying to kill other people. Yeah, relationship issues. Because a girl rejected a boy, the boy takes boiling water and pours it on the girl. But they are Sabbath keepers. Where am I heading with that? Going forward, and I think we mentioned this, we will try as much as possible to widen our knowledge base. Our knowledge base on anything that affects us as people of God. Today, we spend this time talking about these facts. The health nugget is helping us with everything, all that. And in our afternoon's program, we are going to widen the wide range of things that we need to speak about. And I know in the next few weeks that are coming, I look around, I see a lot of parents who are here. There was the family, the VBS thing that we went to AFM, you know. The good thing is that our children are not here this afternoon. There are some things your children said about you that we need to talk about. All right? There are some things they said about you, and when I mean you, yeah, even about him, and my children too, because we all know children are good at aping things, right? Yeah, and you tell them, oh, you know, you don't need to eat this, you don't need to eat that, but they look at you and they're like, what are you eating yourself? Last night we were laughing with my wife. We was watching a short video of somebody in their car saying they're in their car, and you can just tell they are eating a hamburger and some fly. And the caption was, me eating on my way home because I am dieting at home. Get it? They're in their car, they're munching their hamburger and their fries, and they are eating so fast in the parking lot because at home, people know that they're dieting. So they show up at home and say, today, I'm not going to eat a lot. You know, I'm not going to eat a lot because let's eat small portions. But what did you do in the car? What did you do in the vehicle? And you know, that reminds me, you know, even my own grandfather, when I was growing up, he would go to meet other men in the village, right, in the town center. And they would come home, and sometimes you look at, and they would say, hey, can I get you some food? And he would say, no, let the children eat first. And you're like, this grandfather loves us, the children. The gentleman just ate 2 kilos of meat by himself before he came here. You know, what I'm heading to is that we'll need to have these topical discussions, right? I think they're helpful. We need to talk about these real issues that are affecting us. And so thank you, Sister Perez. And the other departments, I'm encouraging you. There are some departments, there are some issues that affect specific departments. Encouraging the departmental leaders to ask ourselves, what is it about us that we can talk about? For example, we men. What is it about men's health and other things that we cannot talk in this setting, but we can talk as men because they are affecting us? Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you're all right. Let us rise up as we pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for being with us since morning until now. Dear God, we know that you want us to prosper, not only in our souls, but even in our health. Because our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit, and whoever destroys this temple, you have said that you're going to destroy them too. So we thank you for the session that we've had and other sessions that we're going to have in future. That as your people, you may help us to listen to your voice, to trust your word, and the knowledge that you're going to bring our way, so that we may live a life that is going to help us to be productive in the ministry that you've given us. We thank you for this moment as we disperse from here, and as we be preparing to go and visit with our members who are going through some challenges, we pray that you may go with us. And we thank you because you're prepared to gather us again in this space next Sabbath. We'll thank you and we glorify your name. we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.